I ended up being abducted in 1999 by LRA.
Yes.
But what kept me also alive in the bush was the idea that I must not die in the bush. So for me, I don't think life is supposed to be about balance. Life is supposed to be about presence. There's a difference.
Okay.
That man changed my life. That man gave me purpose. I think one of the things that a lot of us lack is purpose.
Yes.
I've not said this in any podcast or any video before.
Welcome to the first ever episode of ImpleMentor Africa, where we talk to the people that do, ask them how they did so we can do it too. They get to mentor us virtually week on week. And first episode ever, I had to pull out all the stops. This person, I cannot call them a person. They're an experience. In my 30 years on this planet, I've had conversations that I can count on one hand that did not leave me the same. And this gentleman was definitely one of those conversations. Sales warrior, the sales warrior from the Sales Warrior Convention, founder of the Daniel Choudry Sales Institute, father, fitness enthusiast, and all-around badass, Daniel Choudry. Thank you so much for being my first guest.
That was so cool.
Did I do you justice?
That intro got me right there.
You are amazing.
Hi,
man.
Anne-Marie.
Hi, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Very fast.
Thank you.
ImpleMentor podcast.
And also, we are shooting live on location at the Tribe UG Studios, courtesy of Skyline Media.
Beautiful.
And I didn't even say my name. I'm the host, Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
That's how excited I am.
I'm so delighted to be on this podcast.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
All right, Daniel Choudry, we're good. So you are known as the sales warrior.
Yeah.
You are known as the mindset shifter. You are known as an HR consultant, a public speaker, the guy who gave us Vusi Tembekwayo.
Yeah.
But your start wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't.
So tell us about that and how you ended up becoming this amazing guy, yet as bad as difficult starts go. Yours was quite...
You know, interestingly, Anne-Marie, so I'm a passionate reader. You know that already. I read a lot of books. And you'll find that a lot of the people who ended up doing really great work, oftentimes the background, majority of them, okay, not maybe majority, but many of them.
A significant amount.
Yes, a significant amount, you would say. Their beginning was a little bit... not very concrete. Their foundation was not very concrete. So sometimes people would think my beginning was a disadvantage, but God has a way of lifting you from such foundations. What I would say personally is that when you go through a very tough time in your childhood, you have to grow up faster.
Yes.
Because you have to survive. The survival instinct makes you elevate a little bit in terms of what needs to be done, what you need to think about and do to ensure you take care of yourself. Because if you don't, then death is a pretty real thing, but it's also a pretty scary thing. And as a child, you don't want your life to just end like that. So you find yourself really, you're doing a lot. I say that to say this, that yes, my childhood was a little tough. My mom conceived me when she was only 16 years old. And then she took the pregnancy to my dad's place. I was told a story that when she took the pregnancy there, they chased her away. They said, our son is not responsible. He was not the one who impregnated you. My mom came back to my grandma, our mom. My grandma also said, you're not going to stay here and embarrass me with this pregnancy. There was a lot of stigma then.
Yes.
So she went to the Catholic Church. She went and requested for shelter at the priest's residence. The priest accepted for her to stay there. In return, she had to be a cook, clean the compounds at the priest's residence. So she did a good job, according to the story she told me later. She did a good job. And when I was like 4 months old, 3-4 months old, the priest, Father Alex, may God bless him, he passed on now, said, you know, you've been such a good girl. If you can find where to keep the baby, we'll take you back to school. So my mom took me back to my grandmother when I was only 4 months. My grandma breastfed me, fed me on porridge, on milk and things like that. So that was, of course, the beginning. I was a baby. I was a toddler. I didn't know nothing. It's a story that I was told. When I was 7, still in the village with my grandfather. My grandfather was a teacher and a subsistent farmer. This is a man who could wake up every morning at 3 a.m., goes to the farm, comes back at 5 p.m. in the evening, every day. On the days when because he had retired from teaching.
Yes.
So at 7, he made for me a panga and picks me up at 3 a.m. We go to the farm. Some days we walk, sometimes he takes his bicycle. We work in the farm, and my task was to cut down the trees in the farm while he tills the grass. If I don't work that day, he's not going to give me porridge. He's not going to give me food at lunch. So I had to work. Of course, the first few days, I complained a bit, I cried a bit, then I realized it was not going to change. Then, you kind of just adopt it. Of course, as a child, you start feeling like, why am I being tortured?
Yes.
But now, in my current life, I feel like, what a blessing that was. What a blessing that was, because it sets for me the right foundation of work ethics. Of course, life was not the best. Yeah. He really always encouraged us. As long as you go to the farm and work, there will always be food.
Yes.
People go to school to study, get a job, so they can earn money and buy food.
And yes.
So if you work in the farm, and there's always going to be food. So I didn't also like going to school. And that changed a little bit. Probably, I don't know whether you want me to tell that story as well.
You
as
can,
part of my
please,
intro.
please.
Yeah, so so I never used to like going to school. I used to love now going with him to the farm until 1996. So in 96, I went to school that day. One of the teachers that we didn't like, a maths teacher, Teacher Anthony Opua, I remember him very well.
You both names
yes,
even.
Teacher Anthony Opua, it was a maths teacher. He used to come to teachers, putting on slippers, putting on, torn t-shirts. So he just never inspired us to love the subject.
Right.
But that day, Teacher Anthony Opua came and totally changed it was a total mind shift, a paradigm shift, using big English words because now I can speak them.
Go ahead, show off, please.
He came that day all dressed up, white shirt with a tie on, black trousers, black shoes. He's like, children, today I'm not here to teach you maths. Today I'm here to tell you about something. Like, we all paid attention. It's like, children, our school has never got a first grade in P7. I'm teaching you now in primary 4 that when you get to primary 7, you get a first grade. And we're like, then they ask, who wants to get a first grade? Like, me, all of us. Yes. Like, whoever will get a first grade in P7, you'll get a chance to go to the capital city of Uganda. So he asked us to respond in chorus. Of course, P4, we're naive and excited. What is the name of the capital city of Uganda? We scream, Kampala! It's like, Kampala is the most beautiful part of this country. In Kampala, poverty is gone. Everybody in Kampala are rich. In Kampala, you'll see the tallest building in Uganda, crested towers. It touches the clouds. And some people have lived up on the last floor. For all their life, they've never come down because everything is provided for there. Like, mama.
This heaven, this promised land.
As a child, before I believed it. So my village is along the route the plane used to go to Europe. So every day you see a lot of planes passing by, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's like, do you see the plane that is always passing by? Like, yes, teacher, we see. That is inside the plane is like paradise. When inside the plane, you want to take some juice, you just press a knob next to your chair and say juice. There's a robotic mechanism. Juice will come to you. My God, that man blew my mind. You want to eat food, you press another knob, food will come. You want to sleep, you press another knob. The chair will automatically turn into a bed. A warm blanket will cover you. It's like paradise. You get a first grade in P7, you'll not only go to Kampala, but you'll go to a place called Entebbe International Airport, and you'll enter inside the plane. Anne-Marie, that man changed my life. That man gave me purpose. I think one of the things that a lot of us lack is purpose.
Yes.
We lack a Kampala to chase. So he talked about the biggest lake in the world, freshwater lake, passes 3 countries, so big. and there's a ship that docks in a place called Port Bell.
Yes.
The ship is so big that it can carry the entire people in Kidgum, and Kidgum is not small. And we'll all be in the ship, play football in the ship, do everything on the ship for a full year. I'm like, I must get first grade. From that day, going to school became meaningful. Because I think sometimes we also need to give our children a Kampala to chase so that going to school becomes meaningful. Many times they go to school because we force them to go to school.
Because we said.
Yes, and then we roughen them up if they don't perform well in class. So he said, if you want to get a first grade in P7, there are certain things you have to do. For example, in the morning when you go to school, make sure you tuck in. When it's time for assemblies, be in front of the assembly so you can get everything the teachers are saying. When it's time to clean the compound, sweep yours very fast, go to class. When the teacher asks a question, even if you don't know the answer, first do what? Put your hand up. So sometimes they ask questions in class. I'm like, teach me, like Daniel. Like, teacher, I knew the answer. I just forgot. The rest of the class would burst into laughter. Later did I know that it was building me to become a public speaker. It's the career now. So that was the life then, growing up. Teacher Anthony Upwa gave me reason. I became obsessed with the idea of going to Kampala. Going to school became meaningful. It became something that I needed to do for Daniel.
Yes.
Because I needed to go where? To Kampala. So what can Kampala be for your children today? You have to plant that seed when they're young. Instead of terrorizing them to go to school, you could inspire them with something amazing.
Give them a Kampala.
Yes, expose them to something that they never think is possible. I became obsessed with the idea of Kampala. Every page of my book, I was writing Kampala, Kampala, Kampala. I was obsessed. And I learned the idea of obsession from when I was a kid. Going to school every day, started to speak English now that I didn't even know how to speak. They used to come and teach us mathematics in Acholi, which was very difficult to understand. So that's what really set me on this course to the person that I've become now. The idea that I must go to Kampala. Kampala became like the yardstick for me, for what is great. It became the light bulb, a sense of direction. And I was willing to do whatever it took here to get there. And this is something that is very important for the viewers and listeners of this podcast. What is your Kampala that will allow you to navigate through the hardships of life? What is your Kampala that will allow you to keep going even when against all odds? Like everything seems to be working against you, but you have the mental fortress and the emotional hope that tomorrow is going to be another day and you can get to go to Kampala. Of course, I ended up being abducted in 1999 by LRA.
Yes.
But what kept me also alive in the bush was the idea that I must not die in the bush before I see Kampala. I've answered this in a very long way, but over to you.
So we've seen the origin of Daniel.
Yes.
How his Kampala drove him to who he is today. But why sales?
Yeah.
You know, sales has been described as this difficult career
Yeah.
of daily getting rejected.
Yeah.
Why did you pick sales?
So I would say it's also luck, but also hardship again. A bit of both. So mind you, I studied hard. My Kampala story still, stretches until even the sales story. So senior 6 vacation, I didn't go to Kampala, just to cut the entire story short. I didn't go back to the village. I didn't go back to Kidgum for holidays. I stayed here in Kampala looking for work to do because I knew if I went back to the village, I wouldn't get an opportunity to come to university. So I rented a small house in Mutungu for 30,000 shillings. There was even no electricity in it. And in my vacation, I worked. The first place I worked was at the late Arona Nyakarima's home in Buya. Every day they were paying us 8,000. The contractor was paying us 8,000 shillings. I was saving all of it and eating food on site and carrying some in the Kavera and go home. When we finished that house, the contractor again connected us to Mr. Ponciano and Gabrano. A Captain Shoppers Nakawa was starting to be constructed. in the late 2006. So I worked there as a, how do you call them? A porter. I was like a porter, mixing concrete, digging foundations, and I did that diligently. I always joke that I worked with Baganda, with Banyankoles, with Basogas, with Acholis, and Nomo Muganda would dig about 2 feet and already tired. And Musoga could look at it and said, we start on this one tomorrow. And Mochiga would do about 6-7 feet. I was doing 11 feet every day. I mean, it's a joke. Well, I mean, it's very fun. It's a very fun joke. I have nothing against
this is your experience.
I have nothing against you guys.
Yeah.
Please come for my conferences when I invite you. So in my vacations in Essex, I saved 2.8 million shillings.
Off of this 8,000 that you were making?
Yes, and all this work that I was doing.
Okay.
So I was given business administration from Makere University.
Okay.
And my study place was MOBS. So it was like God really working his magic. So I used to go for lectures from 8 a.m. up to about midday. And then I go and work at Capital Shoppers in the afternoon to save some money. Then first year, second semester, Dr. Diana Ntamo, the director for MOBS Entrepreneurship Center, she put out an advert looking for students who would want to work to sell the short courses. In return, they'll give them some commissions and things like that. Right. So I was also now thinking about my next semester. Where is the money going to come from? So I'm like, let me give that a shot. So I was taken. So they gave me directories for UMA. They gave me directories for Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association. They gave me directory for Uganda Hotel Owners Association. And then the phone to call, a landline. And said every day call as many people as possible, invite them, interest them to do the short courses, certificate in bookkeeping, certificate in customer care, certificate in corporate governance, and things like that. I'm like, okay, no problem. So every day I come and I make calls. For me, I was making over 120 calls. So an idea popped up in my mind. I'm like, Dr. Diana, if you could invite Patrick Bitature to come and talk to these entrepreneurs, I think they'll appreciate it so much and they'll learn quite a bit.
Right.
And Bitature was a visiting guest lecturer at MOBS at the time with Professor Balunya. So they invited him and he accepted to come. So we invited these entrepreneurs to come and listen to Bitature for free. The target was to have like maybe 100 or 200 people. Over 800 people showed up.
Okay.
I was making calls, and that all happened in 2 weeks.
The whole putting together.
They're putting everything together happened in 2 weeks.
Right.
And then when the D-Day for that talk came, when Patrick came and spoke, I was the MC. I organized a form for registration. I said, if you're interested in bookkeeping, there's a form going on. If you're interested in customer care, there's a form going on. If you're interested in marketing and all of that, there's a form going on. So, and I requested Dr. Diana to talk to Patrick to let him talk about the importance of continuous education and how important these short courses are to the successes of these businesses.
Right.
And he did a tremendous job. By the end of that talk, we had registered over 240 people on the certificate of bookkeeping. We had registered over 200 people on the certificate in customer care. We had registered over 157 on the corporate governance course. So I filled up the entire course, yet my target was 20, 20, 20 per course. I brought 10 times.
Yes.
So Diana called me to our office and like, Daniel, you are such a brilliant young man. What course are you doing? BBA. What do you want to do? I wanted to major in accounting. I was doing fairly well in accounting. It's like, no, you do marketing option. You are a natural born salesman. And I'll tell you, you'll succeed in this career. And that's how my career in sales, started spanning out. Okay. In second year, Diana still helped me and I got a job with MTN call center. So now I was working at MTN call center. We used to call it the graveyard shift.
The graveyard shift, the night shift.
Yes.
Right.
From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. go back to my hostel, freshen up in my room, not even hostel, my room, freshen up, come for lectures from 8 a.m. to midday. Now I was promoted also at Capital Shoppers as assistant storekeeper. So from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I was assistant storekeeper at Capital Shoppers. So I had enough money to pay me through university.
My
Interesting,
goodness.
isn't it?
And that was your pivot into sales. Well, it doesn't seem like
Absolutely.
sales was a calling for you. It seems like sales was thrust upon
It was a
you.
it was a
And you did
responsibility I
good.
needed to succeed. Because you see, I didn't have a lot of options. I either got the money for tuition or university was done. And there was no way I would allow that. One of the things about me is when I set my mind to say this must get done,
Yes.
I don't care how much pain I have to go through to achieve, because sometimes there's a lot of pain, and that's why a lot of people just kind of quit on the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a lot of sacrifices you have to make. So when I set my mind that that has to be done, I'm willing to go through the sacrifice. I'm willing to stretch. I'm willing to forget self and look at the goal and the purpose and just go for it. Yeah. So that's how sales was introduced to me. Of course, I have a few other spins of how I did sales for Toyota and a few other companies.
All right. And then despite your choice to do sales so early
BBA
on,
marketing, yes.
You didn't go into self-employment right away, like you said. No. So at what turning point did you say, no, I need to go into business for myself? Because this is the implementer. So we want to talk about how you did it. When did you decide, now I need to have the Daniel Choudry?
That was 2014. I was working with Toyota Kenya, and I was selling brand new cars. I was very good at it. 2013, I was one of the best salespeople for Toyota Kenya. I sold 200 brand new V8s to the government of Southern Sudan. I sold a couple of double cabins, of 55 double cabins, 12 TX. So my commission was supposed to be good, upwards of $100,000, several upwards of $100,000. And then in the process of getting this deal done, of course, there was the involvement of the senior management, there was involvement of finance, there was involvement of many people. But I am the one who started the account. I was the one who started the initial conversations.
Right.
So in my contract, I deserve to get the entire commission.
Of course.
So I was given only 40K USD. I was supposed to get way more than that.
And their justification was?
That I didn't make the sale alone. Other people also participated in it. And then there was also the company policies and things like that. So I felt I'd done. I was 26, 27, young kid, naive, volatile, emotionally fragile. I thought it was unfair. So I went in one of the SMT meetings on Monday. I went to the boardroom and I said some things that I wasn't supposed to say. Yes,
you expressed yourself.
I expressed myself with that acholiness. That acholi warrior came up. Yeah, probably I would have done it again now, but I don't know. Probably not.
So that's when you decided to go into
business.
So
I was unceremoniously dismissed.
Of course.
I was let go. Okay. Yeah, so I came back home. I was a little stressed out. Went back to the village, bought a few plots here and there. That has helped me a lot in having my real estates now. Got my first baby. I wanted to say shit went down, but I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, so I got my baby, and then now all of a sudden I'm a dad. Like, okay, now what do I do? So there was my friend working with Oryx, is the head of sales. He's like, Daniel, we're struggling with sales. I'm not gonna call his name because I'm sure he's gonna watch this, but he knows himself. We're struggling with sales. Can you help us? So I gave him an idea. Can I set a sales agency, recruit salespeople, and we sell for you?
Okay.
He's like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And then for every sale of a 6 kg cylinder, we had a margin of I think about 32,000 that comes to us. For the sale of the 13 kg, we had a margin of almost 70,000 that comes to my company. So I was the one paying my salespeople. We did so well. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. We sold, I remember 2016, we sold almost 20,000 cylinders in 1 year. We are the one who introduced hire purchase into the market, paying in 3 months installment and all of that. Oryx was on fire. But 2017, 2018, my boys became very smart. We were selling on hire purchase, so that means there is credit.
Yes.
So they went to NASA Road, forged receipts, forged the ID of Oryx, went back to the places where they left cylinders, collected money. By the time I realized, it was almost 450 million.
Goodness.
Now, Oryx signed a contract with me, not with them.
Right.
So
you're on the line.
I gotta pay for that.
Million.
Yes, 450 million.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh. So that shook me. But we came into an agreement for me to pay that money, which I finished paying in 2022.
Just 3 years ago.
Past when even my mom had already died, which is really painful. Yes, but I mean, we had a very good arrangement. Of course, I was able to recoup some of the money from the guys who stole it, but majority of them had used it. I had to go through legal. I had to put some of them away. But still, so that disoriented me. But the success story of the Quantum Communications Marketing Agency really made me believe, you know what? This is the path.
Right.
This is the path. So now 2017, I started birthing the idea of having a sales institute. Because majority of people didn't like sales. And for me, sales just comes naturally for me. Like I was just finding it too easy to knock on doors, talk to people, connect, build rapport, and get to understand what their needs is and give it to them.
Right.
So it's easy for me. And then, of course, I have this natural confidence that I've developed from when I was a kid, chasing to go to Kampala.
Right.
So I don't have any kind of self-doubt that somebody is not going to like what I'm going to say. So sales was an easy thing for me. So that's when I'm like, you know what? I think I should start a sales institute where I train people sales. And then that same year, I attended a virtual session of the Sales Warriors Convention. 10X conference. It's a US conference organized by a gentleman called Grant Cardone. So 2017, I attended.
Grant Cardone.
Yes, Grant Cardone.
He's the 10X guy, right?
Yes, the 10X guy.
Yes.
So I attended that convention. And I'm like, whoa.
That's amazing.
I'm like, that dude is a lot like me. And then I started imagining if I was in America, I would be so wealthy.
Yeah.
Just doing this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be doing a conference in sales. But first of all, let me start an institute. Because for him, he has the sales, the Cordon University. It's called the Cordon Sales Training, technologies. So I started that. I'm like, okay, I think I can do that in Africa. Well, no one has something like that in Africa.
Yes.
And then, of course, I was always being inspired by the Brian Tracy's, the Jack Canfield, the Tony Robbins, the Gary Vaynerchuk. So and then Grant Cardone comes in. I'm like, shit, okay, I said it. I'm like, I gotta do that. And it was so profound for me that it was easy to start. And when I started, my first job was to do training for the sales team of City Royale.
Okay.
There's an hotel there in Bugolobi called City Royale. Mr. Yato and your wife, Barbara. May God bless you guys. I know you will probably watch this. May God continue to bless you. You gave me one of my biggest breakthrough. They gave me a training worth $3,000.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That was back in 2017. 2018. And that set the pace. For you. And I've never looked back.
So you actually then have talked about one of your biggest projects.
Yeah.
And one of, I don't even know how to describe it, but you had the Sales Warrior Convention. I remember we met shortly before your first one.
Yes.
When you
2019?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you came and you gave a training and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So the Sales Warrior Convention, like you said, if you were living in the States, you would have.
Yeah.
A lot of Ugandan entrepreneurs and why we're doing this podcast they look at our economy here,
Yes.
and a lot of ideas die because we feel like the Ugandan economy isn't conducive
Yeah.
for some of the ideas.
Yeah.
But you looked at Grant Cardone's Sales Warrior Convention.
Yes.
And you
10X
replicated
conference.
it,
Yeah.
10X conference,
Yeah.
and you replicated it here.
Yes.
What did you see that others do not see or others give up on seeing when it comes to implementing things like that in Uganda?
Yeah. So first of all, the American market is very different.
Yes.
The American market, they love training, conference, self-development.
Exactly.
It's a big industry.
Yeah.
The self-development industry is an $18 trillion industry in the US. Now, in Africa, the self-development industry has potential.
Yeah.
However, our people are a little bit laid back. They don't want to attend.
Right.
So what I did back in 2018 then was, of course, after the City Royale training, I went on doing trainings in different companies. ICA gave me a training. APA Insurance gave me a training. My good friend Charles gave me a training in multi-choice. MTN gave me a training. So I'm like, okay. So I kept asking them if I put a conference like that where all salespeople come to, number one, learn, get inspired, network, get skilled. Would they send their people? They said yes. So I talked to my friend Hassan Alui. Hassan Alui is the resident director for International University of South Africa. Okay. Very good guy. So I talked to Hassan. I'm like, Hassan, can I use the hall at IUEA? I don't have money, but can you give me a hall? I want to host 1,000 salespeople in here. He's like, you must be out of your mind. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are you going to bring 1,000 people in this hall? I'm like, just leave the rest to me.
Right.
So I wrote a proposal to different corporate companies. At the time, there were 22 insurance companies. At the time, there was 21 banks. At the time, there were 165 top 100 taxpayers. My good friend Ian Romanyika was still working as a PRO of URA. So I got the list. I made calls, but I sold the conference myself without a sales team. And I brought 800 people. Imagine paying 100,000 shillings each.
Yes.
And by the time it was done, I was tired.
I know, I can imagine.
And you see, pioneering things are hard.
Yes.
Because everything, I was doing it as a first time.
Yes.
Like no one was helping me. I didn't bring an events company to help me coordinate things. But what gave me validation was the fact that 800 people showed up. In Kansanga, with a lot of bad traffic on that road, and the road wasn't tarmac as it is now. It was a little bit, all messed up. I'm like, okay, no problem. So 2019, February, we hosted the first Sales Warriors Convention. Yes. 800 people showed up. It was a huge success. Hassan thought I was crazy. He was very proud. And then we pulled that off. And then, of course, 2020, COVID happened.
Yes.
So we didn't do it. 2021, we didn't do it. I lost my mom in 2021. So I was depressed. Yeah. But now 2022, I tried it. Still, I was not in the right emotional space. Right. I did. Then 2023, we did another one. We got 1,500 people at Serena. And then last year, I hosted Vusi.
Yes.
I got 2,500 people. We made a lot of money.
Right.
Yes. And that opened me to do a lot. Now, this year, the Sales Warriors Convention is happening in August in Nairobi. Okay. At the Jomo Kenyatta International Convention Center.
You just keep leveling up and leveling up and leveling up.
The plan is to be in 27 English-speaking African countries by 2027.
My goodness.
So next year, we're going to be doing 5 different Sales Warriors Convention across Africa. And hey, I'm not stopping. I don't know about you, but I'm not stopping.
You're an insane man, by the way. I don't know if anyone has told you this, but you're a madman.
This life requires you to be mad a little bit.
Yes.
No more, we'll take you to the village. And I come from very far, Anne-Marie. I come from Padibe. Padibe is about 30 kilometers from South Sudan. 30 kilometers.
You can see it. It's here.
Yes. We used to farm across the border.
Okay.
So we crossed many rivers to come to Kampala. I see a lot of Acholi people who come here. They want to be a pity party. You see, there was LRA in Northern Uganda. You see, without the donor money, we would not be okay. The government had deserted us. For me, that's all BS. Forgive my French. Those of us who actually were abducted by LRA, we're not giving a lot of excuses. For me, those kind of excuses, the one that makes us not to have that creative mindset to do something great. And you can never be great when you have that pity party.
Of course.
So for me, we all need some kind of element of craziness. We need to add some craziness into our ambition. We need to add some wild faith into our ambition. We need to add some radical optimism into our ambition. A mix of all of that can make you splash into something really mesmerizing.
That's incredible. But now let's talk about balance, because you're doing all these things. You have the sales warrior convention that you want to take to the sky, and then you're training all these people, because the Choudry Institute is still skilling people in sales. And then you also do the mindset shift trainings as well. And then you also
let's just focus on sales. We're doing the sales mostly, but a lot of them now.
And then you have a really strict fitness regimen. We were talking shortly before we started filming about how you have to run and you have to go to the gym and you have to take care of yourself and you eat right. And then you're also a father. Where do you find the balance? Where do you find, because I do know that you, like, I mean, it's obvious. We're friends, so we know quite a bit about each other. I know that you're quite a present father.
Yes.
How do you handle the demands of the day, the demands that you place on yourself for your physical well-being, and being a family man?
So personally, I have something called success routines. So success routines are things that you have blocked to do day in, day out. They are part and parcel of who I am. From the time I wake up to what I do next, to how I span my day. We all need some kind of success routines in our life. So for me, when it's time for exercise, I'll invest 100% of my time in exercise. Be it a road run that I do often, be it the gym that I go to often. Lately, I go to the gym practically every day. Be it when I'm spending time with my kids. So for me, I don't think life is supposed to be about balance. Life is supposed to be about presence. There's a difference. If you're with your kids, be 100% present. If it's for 30 minutes, be 100%. Be so focused on the games they're playing, the questions they're asking you, wherever you've taken them, like the engagement, the conversation. Be 100% present there. When it's time for the road run, be 100% present. When it's time to read, be 100% present. So for me, those are success routines. And it has nothing to do with balance. When you try to balance, I always say, for me, balance is an act of average. You can only be second best, not the best.
That's new.
Balancing is the art of second best. Balancing is the art of mediocrity in multiples. So if you want to be exceptional at everything you do, don't balance. Be present at each one of them at that integral time. Now, I would also want to encourage the listeners and the viewers of this podcast. There are two types of people. There's the superficial people and the granular people. Now, the superficial people, their life is full of distractions. It's full of dopamine rush. They love entertainment. They love pleasure.
Instant gratification.
Yes, they'll instant gratification. They will spend 6 to 8 hours a day on widescreen distractions, the phone. They will watch TV until they drop. Like, their life is all scattered with distractions, with pleasures. They're on TikTok and all these kind of things. So they lack focus. Now, superficial people, according to Forbes magazine Africa, they said most millennials in Africa are superficial. Their attention span ranges between 6 minutes to 16 minutes.
That is short.
Very short.
That is.
So the African millennial, their attention span ranges between 6 minutes to 16 minutes, and after that they are distracted. The attention span of a Jew of the same millennial age is 6 hours. The attention span of an Asian, the Chinese, within that same time is 6 hours and 27 minutes. Ours is 6 minutes to 16
minutes.
minutes. So you, and that is a big superficial kind of life. You're only looking at, those pop-ups that entertain you, that gives you pleasure. So that's a big problem that does not allow us to be present wherever we want to be present. You're with your kid, you're also watching TV. You're with your kid, you're also on the phone. Right? You're running, and then a phone call comes. You'll first stop and want to pick the call. I don't pick no calls when I'm running. I'll finish, then if the call is important, I'll call back. If not, I won't, because I don't have to really call everyone. I get too many calls every single day. So that's important. So I always say, be granular. A granular person is thorough. They are deep and profound in everything they pay attention to. If it's important to you, then you better pay attention to it.
Right.
Okay? But if it's important, and then the other is also important, then you're just a bunch of averages, the art of second best. So for me, that's the mindset. And that's why I have a very good relationship with my daughters. I have a very good relationship with my sons, because when I'm with them, I'm with them. But when I'm also not there and I make a phone call, we'll talk for that long time so that they can be able to appreciate the magnitude of what Daddy is doing.
Okay.
But my daughter also wants to be a pilot. So we keep talking about some of these things. So it's important that wherever you are, be present. Even when you're with your friends, be present.
Don't be on the phone.
Yes, don't be on the phone. Don't be... Can they learn something new from you? Can you be a valuable friend and not just, one of those that one of the destructive friends? I try not to be a destructive person in my ecosystem of friends. So, I've answered in a long way. I hope you've got something.
We have, but now we've seen your origins.
Yeah.
We've seen a bit of your professional life. We've seen a bit of your personal life. And finally, I want to focus on Daniel the man.
Yeah.
What are your guiding principles? Do you believe in God? Do you have a quote that you live by?
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that your mother was taken in by the Catholic Church. And so what are some of your personal guiding principles?
I think I get most of my guiding principles from my late mom. May she rest well. My mother was also very underprivileged. I've not said this in any podcast or any video before. So my mom, there are 7 girls. She's the firstborn. But her dad was different from the other 6 girls.
Okay.
So my grandpa took her in. My mom died without knowing who her real father was.
So she was taken in by her stepfather.
Her stepdad, who did a good job. May his soul also rest in peace. Mr. J.B. Okach. He took her on and raised her as his own. So my mother already had a target on her back from the moment she was born. My grandma, up to now, my grandma is still alive. She doesn't talk about it. She doesn't want to talk about it. If I bring the issue of my mom's dad, we're going to fight. So I have decided to let it be. She's old now. She's in her 80s. My mother really worked hard to prove that she was worth something. And then, of course, unfortunately, she got pregnant with me at 16. But she went back to school. Started to be a midwife. From midwife, she became a nurse. From a nurse, she became a clinical officer. From a clinical officer, she became a doctor. From a doctor, she became... she was now doing PhD in public health by the time she was dying. Brilliant woman. We had a fight with her. My mom was so powerful, so charismatic, larger than life.
Gee, I wonder who else embodies that.
So she wanted somehow to control certain elements of my life, which I didn't want her to. And I am her only son. I have 2 sisters. So I watched that woman work, and all I ever wanted to do was to make her proud, but on my terms.
Right.
Not on our terms. If it was up to her, I would be the town clerk of Kidgum District.
And here you are, a sales warrior.
Because she got me a job as a town clerk of Kidgum District.
That's what she saw for you.
Yeah, immediately I finished university in 2010.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not going back to Kitgum. I'm going to stay in the city. This is where the action is. And she wasn't happy with that. But every time we met, we talked, she was seeing some semblance of a responsible man. Because she thought, maybe this my son is, joined bad groups. Because I never used to like coming home early. I would rather be in the library. No, I wasn't.
Oh.
I'm either in the library or, through the school, things were what they were. So I'm just saying that before because in vacation, soon as I refused to go back home. She wanted me to go and stay with my stepdad, which I didn't want to do.
Okay.
So there was some dynamics in our relationship there that was a bit sticky. A lot of love there, so much love. However, one person who is my elder, who is my mother, wanted me to do things a certain way. And then there's me with my rebel mindset of, no, I think that's not the path I want. This is the path I want. Anne-Marie, sometimes the people who love us the most may not give us the best advice.
That's true.
Not because they hate us, but because they love us so much and they don't want to see us suffer.
They want to protect you.
Yes, they want to protect you because their level of exposures to different challenges makes them want to protect us. And in the instance of them trying to protect us, sometimes they take us away from the path which could have led us to our real purpose in life. And I want you to appreciate this conversation I'm having with Anne-Marie from that direction. But still love your parents, respect them. You may disagree, but with respect.
Right.
Like, don't cross boundaries. So my mother really gave me the foundation of work ethics. First of all, it was my grandpa, and then my mom. Against all odds, she was becoming a PhD doctor. Doctor, incredible things. So I learned a lot of my work ethics values from these two people, my grandpa and my grandma. Both of them are deceased now. May God bless their soul. Now, when I lost my mom, for almost a year and a half, I was lost. But now I look back to everything I've learned from her with such level of pride and responsibility. The responsibility is everything that she ever wanted to achieve. God bless me, I want to achieve it in this life.
Amen.
And that's why I'm very cautious about my health. That's why I'm very cautious about what I eat. I'm very cautious about the exercise I do. I'm very cautious about everything. I'm actually an introvert.
We were talking about that.
Yes.
There's the sales warrior
and
there's Daniel.
So I have two people here. Yes.
Goes to work.
Yes.
And Daniel can live the quiet life.
Yes. The sales warrior is the workaholic.
Yes.
The sales warrior has to work so hard so he can give Daniel a quiet life. When the sales warrior is on doing his thing, he's ferocious, he's tenacious, he's relentless, he is larger than life. When I get in my car and I drive home, Daniel has to come to the forefront. Daniel loves his classical music. He loves his Christian music. He loves, listening to meditations. He loves going to his room, going to study, his side study, picks the nice book and read them, and then sleep, and then play with the kids. That's Daniel. So for Daniel to live that life, the sales warrior has to be relentless. Until when? Until it's not going to stop, girl. It's not going to stop. Because I don't think I'm going to retire. I don't believe in retirement.
You don't look like someone who's capable of retirement.
Come on. God created the universe in 6 days and rest on the seventh day. We rest more than we work. I was listening to an interview a few days ago. I support Liverpool. We won the Premier League recently. But there's a gentleman who plays for Manchester United called Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes. He said something very interesting. He said he doesn't need to rest because when he dies, he will rest forever.
Yes.
So while he's still alive, he should appreciate the gift of life and be as mobile and do all that he can do with his life before the time is up. And both of me and you know, we never know when the time is.
I know.
Yeah. Today we're shooting this podcast. One of my good friends, Rajiv Rupaleria, passed away, on a very grisly accident this morning. Brother, may you rest in glory, soulmate, respect. But such is life. You can only pray to God and wish that He gives you more life. I'm grounded in Christ. I'm a Catholic. My mother loved Mother Mary very much. I intend to remain that. I intend to serve God with my gift, with my career, with my money. I intend to show my children the right way of how to live. I was having a training this afternoon with a group from one of the companies. Okay, maybe I'll mention the name. Speak Holidays. And I asked them questions. Why do you believe God exists? And they answered several ways and all of this. And for me, I know God exists because of this consciousness, this intellect that we're sharing has got to come from somewhere.
Right.
The camera that is shooting this thing that that people are watching. I was watching a documentary about the International Space Station, like what human beings have done there. And when you see the different planets in the world, come on, some of those planets could have fallen and hit this planet Earth, and then we would not be here. So there must be a higher power that keeps everything where they're supposed to be. And for me, the fact that God created the universe beautiful, I saw that it was good, and He blessed us with this universe. My intention is to continue co-creation with God until I die. Okay. So what that means is I will put the tallest building in Uganda one day soon. 50. It was 47 floors. Now it's 52 floors because my mom passed on when she was 52. So I'm going to put twin towers, 52 floors, somewhere in Kampala here or in Taipei, somewhere there. The dream is we don't like our politics. At some point when I'm done making a lot of money, I want to join politics, be the leader of my country, be a president, God willing. Who knows? Why not?
Why not?
Exactly. You just got to put your dream out into the universe, then God will find a way to spin it around. Right. So I have that dream. I have the dream to do a lot of philanthropy. Now I'm saying it actually with philanthropy. Forgive that. But I want my life to mean something before this time is up. Right. Again, answered in a very long way. But come on, first podcast, it gotta be deep.
But that's how we mentor. That's how, I mean, when you have a mentor, he doesn't say, do this, do that, do that. He gives you personal experiences and we learn from you.
Yeah, and I've not done a lot of this. Majority of people who interface with me is through my trainings.
Okay, so and even your trainings are professional advice. It's not personal advice. No. So this is an exclusive.
Yes, absolutely. It's an exclusive. I feel good about it. Am I doing well, guys?
So honored. And this is exactly what the ImpleMentor Africa embodies. So thank you so much.
This is the second ever podcast I've ever done. The first one, I was an emotional wreck with Crystal Newman. You know Crystal?
Yes.
And now this is the second one. And I think, I don't know. They said I'm doing well. Am I doing okay?
You did amazing.
Okay.
You did amazing. I absolutely love this. And thank you for being my first guest. Thank you for agreeing the first time I asked you. Thank you for not... Thank you for the Daniel Choudry experience, which I believe I drove from Kingdom
today.
You did. You told me.
And I came like a crazy...
When I called you, I mean, you said that you were going to drive back the same day and do it. And thank you for being a man of your word and actually showing us.
I hope I'm not looking so tired, though.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Thank you for living.
Is the warrior okay?
The warrior is fine. The warrior is intact.
Okay.
Thank you for walking the talk. What you've told us, we can see from your energy and what you had to do today that you actually live by what you teach. Thank you for being so vulnerable with us. Thank you for telling us. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for mentoring us.
Oh.
It's been such a pleasure, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie.
And also thank you so much to Skyline Media and Tribe Uganda Studios, where the podcast is being filmed. This has been the ImpleMentor Africa with Anne-Marie. Until next time, blessings.